Finished listening to a podcast here, guys. I know Bing Tingze Lalela a while ago, but yeah, I just did, and I'm looking forward to the topic or the series that I just said because I'm also studying the topic with you guys about influence. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it, and I'm just thinking about the fact that even the people that we follow on my social media, they influence us somehow. Like the people you follow, you end up liking the things they like, you end up speaking the way they speak, you end up doing the things they do because they influence you without even being aware of it. You are being influenced by those people, but they are. So yeah, in the way influencing it goes a long way. And the verse you shared, a good character, a bad character corrupts a good character. So may the good Lord really help us to be aware who are we befriending, who are we following in the socials, who are we spending time with, because like everything it affect our character. We spend most of our times on socials, so the people you follow with social media, they are sure influencing you as the young person. So yeah, in my mind we should really be mindful of such things. Even the music you listen to, the movies you watch, the podcast you listen to, the YouTube videos you are watching, isn't as kanjalo nje we might not be mindful of okanye singazithatha ngokuthi into ezincane, but they are influencing us in a big way. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to the topic, and yeah, thank you so much, guys. Siyabonga kakhulu. Like, your topics are very valuable and important, and yeah, as Mr. Author Shiluti, you are influencing us, Noma. Like unganaganga wena, the awards that you are getting, your hard work, the work that you put in every week, go food by the gift, and I will nourish. We are being influenced. So thank you so much. Keep training, keep going. And also Mr. Author is so polite, guys. It's like akanagile lapho he speaks isn't as deep. So thank you so much, guys. May the good Lord bless you. Have a great week. I love you.
Greetings to all our beautiful listeners. It's a beautiful Sunday. It's a beautiful day indeed. It's a beautiful time to be alive. And God has definitely kept us till this very moment. Greeting you, it is Lunga, Mr. Author Kumalo. And as we all know that whenever you're hearing this voice, and it's definitely a Sunday, definitely then it is a Soulful Talk session, or it is time for the Soulful Talk. And it's a pleasure and an honor to be back on a Sunday to give you these soulful talks, soulful conversations. I hope you've been having a great week, having a great time, great weekend. It's a Sunday, you're at church, going to church, maybe coming back from church, or whatever you're listening, because we know that podcasts are available 24 hours, and whenever after they have been uploaded, you could listen to them on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. It's up to you as to when to listen to them. So yes, I'm believing and hoping that you're having a great day in whatever day you've chosen to listen to this episode, but I believe it's a Sunday, né? Well, let's just say it's a Sunday, since we are on a Soulful Talk. I believe you're having a great Sunday, having a great day. You and your family and your loved ones are keeping safe. And you're making sure that everything is going according to plan and according to your desires, as it is a weekend. Yes, we know that on the Soulful Talks, we've been on the series of influence. Me and my co-host, Tandazani Zulu, who couldn't be here today to wrap up this topic with me, she has definitely sent in her Her apologies for not being around for this closing session, but she'll be definitely back next week to come and start a new series with me, which we believe and hope that it will be definitely soulful. So join me today in wrapping up this topic and reviewing the guests we've had and reviewing the things the guests shared. And yeah, let's just close it together, you and I. So let's go. Okay, so on the Soulful Talks, under the topic of influence, we've had a couple of guests, and we remember that when we opened the session, we opened it with myself and Tandazani Zulu, where we were talking on what is influence. We talked a lot, and we shared a lot of information on what is influence. We touched on a lot of important things. You could definitely go back to our podcast platform and search for it, the first episode under influence. You will definitely be inspired, empowered, and equipped. But one of the things we've shared or we talked on is that whenever someone is influential, no one can be an all-rounder in influence or can influence in all their aspects of life. Meaning, in that particular field that they're excelling on, it is there where we draw influence from. Because influence is not just doing something, but it's whenever you're doing it, it draws a big scale of population, it draws most eyes where you are renowned, if we may put it, into that particular field that you're in. We know this mostly with artists. We know this mostly with your media people, people who are on the public eye, who are doing the most in that particular space, And we've even went into even giving them a name that is they're influencers, public figures, people who are there, who are just on the spotlights, the bright light, And with that comes great responsibility. I remember that that's one of the things that was shared by one of our guests, if you could remember him, Bright Longwan. He said, with great power comes great responsibility, And with that, we also shared that it's so important for a person who has been honored by being on a pedestal or being in a spot or a space of being influential. It is very important for them to be responsible with what has been bestowed upon them, because the fact that you are now influential does not mean you could do anything as you please. Rather, it's more of a responsibility than it is of a power or an opportunity for you to play around with it. That was one of the things that was shared by Bright Hlongwane, who was our first guest on this series of influence. He said it's very important for one to understand that with influence comes great responsibility, meaning that with everything you say, it can change the whole thing. It can even ruin your name. It can even destroy your reputation. What has been known of you, as now you're on the public eye, you are in that space of a bigger population. Whatever you say can be used against you. It can destroy you, and it can even make you. There are people who have been renowned even greater because of the things they shared in those public spaces or in those open spaces, because now they are influencers or they are influencers. And there are people who have been destroyed by sharing the same thing, or maybe even a negative thing in a bigger space, because they are known now as influencers. They are known as people who are role models, because once you are in that space, as we said, that you are it's normally people who are excelling in a particular space or a particular field. We then call those people influencers, because those who follow the same routine or follow the same route, they draw inspiration from those people, And as they draw inspiration from those people, they move from being influencers into being role models, because now we look up to them so that we could be where they are, And many a times we fail to. I remember one of the questions we have asked our first guest, Bright Longwane. We've asked him that how is it possible that we could separate the excelling part of you in the particular field that you're in, or your part of being a person and your part of being an influencer. Because in all honesty, all influencers eventually are people, and they have that personal life. They need that personal space where they are them. where they are not your business people if they are in the field of business, where they are not your entrepreneurs if they are in the field of entrepreneurship, where they are not your motivational speakers or public speakers if they are in that field, where they are not your socialite if they are in that field, where they are not your artist if they are in that field. How can we then separate the two, the personal life and the influencer life? And then he said he makes it clear in most cases that he is not his brand. He created the brand, but he's not his brand, meaning he has his own personality that is far from what he has built, And I think with most of us, we fail to do that, to distinguish between the two, what one has built and who they are, And it is very important to respect the brand and respect the person who has built the brand, because as influencers, they also are people. They also have to express themselves. They also have to have your personal views. But again, coming back to what we shared earlier on, that with great power comes great responsibility. So meaning with this now, then having your personal life and your public life, if we may put it, it then comes a responsibility between the two, that you need to be responsible to do not cross these lines and to understand what time is it. I read a quote that once said, the greatest things in life, or the greatest powers in life, is time and change, meaning it is very important for them to be mindful of how they change, how they switch from being public into being personal, and from being personal into being public. It is very important for them to be able to distinguish, or to manage, or to master their art of changing from one part to the other, because with that it will come as if there are two people, whereas they need to be able to switch properly and make this change to be acceptable, because it is very important for one to be able to do that so that they could survive both their businesses and both their life. Then we went on into interviewing Nompilo Gumede, the powerhouse, in the beginning of August, as we know that it is Women's Month. So who best could we have had besides Nompilo Gumede, the powerhouse? That interview was very amazing. I cannot motivate you or encourage you enough to go to it and listen to it, because you'll be definitely inspired, empowered, and equipped. There's something that she shared on influence when we asked her the question that said, what verse best describes influence for you? I'll say it again. We asked her a question that says, what verse best describes influence for you? And she told us of Proverbs 27 verse 17, where it says, as iron sharpens iron, so a man sharpens the countenance of his friend. That's one of my favorite verses personally, because I love the book of Proverbs. But when she shared this verse, it best describes influence. Remember that I said on our first episode with Tandazani Zulu, we talked on what is influence. And I think this verse here best describes it. It says, as iron sharpens iron, so a man sharpens the countenance of his friend. With influence, I believe that, as I said earlier on, that we do not draw everything from a person who's an influencer, but we draw what best inspires us from that particular field of his life, or that particular part of his life. As it says, as iron sharpen iron. You can never use a wood to sharpen an iron. You need another iron to sharpen an iron, So it's very important that we understand that in a person or in life, we do not take everything. We are not influenced by everything, but we're influenced by that particular aspect or that particular field in your life. Then we draw from it, and we are then empowered, as people, to do what we feel has helped you or has assisted you to be where you are. And, looking at that, we then went on a search with my co-host, Tandazani Zulu, in looking for a person whom we thought, or we believe, I guess, was best describes an influential person. And then last week we interviewed Nosipho Mncwabe, known as NOS, because she's the founder of NOS Magazine and founder of NOS Foundation and NOS Media House. That interview was very amazing. That interview was, it was very amazing, because one thing about that interview is it's a different thing talking about influence, and it's a different thing talking with a person who's influential, you know. And for me, I think that what she is, you know, she was able to build a brand that is now respected, that now covers even people who are influential, that now gives a platform to these people who are influential, you know, her magazine, you know. And, you know, with that, it now describes influence in a different way, you know. It describes it with again, I say it. I said that the most powerful things in life it is time and change. And it introduced us to that change. Back then, influential people were people whom we saw on TVs only. But in nowadays, people who are influential, we have your influencers, people who are on social medias with big follow, who have a big following, and they are known as influencers, you know, media or social media influencers, socialites, you know. And with that, it then, excuse me for that, it shows that through time and change, things change, you know. An influencer back then is no longer influencer now. And what we known as influential back then is no longer influential now. Coming back to the thing that says influence is important because it is continuous. Whenever we are sharpening one another or influencing one another, it is very important that the one who gives influence also is responsible of also going to get influence from others who are older or who are way advanced to him, you know, who are superior to him also. I think I shared this in one of the episodes that influence is a secular thing. The moment you are drawing influence from me, I'm also drawing influence from other people. So it's a secular thing. It's a secular thing. It's secular. So in wrapping up this topic, I'd like to wrap it up with a verse that says, that is found in the book of Matthew, chapter 5, verse 14. It says, "You are the light of the world, a town built on a hill that cannot be hidden." Matthew chapter 5 verse 14, "You are the light of the world, a town built on a hill that cannot be hidden." For me, it is very important that we understand influence according to what God says it is. And for me, I best believe that God wants us to be a light of the world and the salt of the earth. If we could do that, when we go to the world, and the world is known to be a dark place, and we bring out light. And if we go to the earth, and the earth is known to be the ground, and we become the salt, we give taste, we give sauce, we nurture it. I believe that we could best be doing what God wants us to do. We need to be influential. We need to have influence, even to the little or to the fewer circle that we have. If we could do that, I best believe we would have done justice. And how do we become influential? We live our best life, and we are content and happy with our best life that we're living. We do not pursue other people's life, but we live our best life. And with that, we would influence people with positivity. We'd influence people with goodness. We'd influence people with greatness. We'd influence people with joy. You know, we're living in tough times, but if we could be the light and the salt, I believe we could best win. This is the Empowerment Podcast. Don't forget to tune in tomorrow on Monday, the Power Monday, and the rest of the week. We have a great lineup for you this coming week. We hope you're having a great Women's Month. And to all women, happy Women's Month once again. Enjoy. Thank you so much. Stay safe. Peace out.